girlies, welcome to another reading wrap up. This is the December reading wrap up, the last one for the year, even though we're already in the new year. I'm filming this late. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am behind in a lot of videos. The holiday season wasn't a season for productivity for me. It was a season of enjoyment, and that means all the videos are delayed. And plus I couldn't actually get anything done. But Princess is back at school now, so we can film. I did film in the holidays. However, it was all like sped and I was trying to do it really quick and the whole energy is off in the videos. So I'm just re-recording them, which means they're all gonna be very late. I hope you don't mind. But anyway, these are the books I read this December. In fact, I'm definitely lying. There's 2 books on this stack. The rest of them were ebooks, but again, holding books tends to help. I think maybe it's just like a genie, and if I rub them and hold them, it will work. By the way, girlies, let me know in the comment section if you enjoy wrap up videos, or like what is it that you actually want from these videos, because sometimes I feel like I film them, I'm like, is it just for me, or do you guys actually like them? Do you like to know what I've read, or at least want to hear my thoughts on them? Like, what information do you want the most? Because I could put this in my journal instead of making you have to sit and watch it. If you enjoy them, then obviously thumbs up, comment that down below. If there's anything you want in particular from these videos, then also comment that. If you're not really, actually don't tell me, that might hurt my feelings. But let's start with the what's the word? With an honorable mention, and that's a book that I forgot to talk about in last month's wrap up. And this one is one that I actually love so much, and I was kind of annoyed that I forgot to talk about it. And it was The Heart Principle by, what's her name? Helen Young. This book made me firstly open my eyes to like the whole spectrum, and also made me like realize how important it is to give yourself grace and learn to stand up for yourself. I don't want to give too much away. This book tackled so many important topics in my opinion. Like honestly, it was not what I signed up for. Like I thought it was going to be like the rest of them, just like, to be honest, the other ones were really good too, but like I don't know what I was expecting, but it hit home differently. Like, not to be so small-minded, but even the spy scenes weren't like hot, they were more like beautiful. I'm really annoyed that I didn't talk about this on the month, because it's hard to remember exactly how I felt. They covered a lot of like difficult topics. There was also a parent that was like passing away. It was a really deep story and it was really surprising, but I definitely recommend reading that if you haven't. So I recommend the whole series, to be honest. The second book wasn't my favorite, but I do think the series as a whole is very entertaining and enjoyable. That was the honorary, oh damn it, I can't say the word again. That was the mention. And now on to the books that I actually read in December. We're gonna go for the books that we read and see if I knocked off some of the books off my 10 before the end. So we started December with a very easy read, and this one, I'm gonna put this in front of me because I don't have most of these books with me. But the first one was That Time I Got Drunk and Saved the Demon by Kimberly Lemming. It was on my 10 before the end, so shout out to me. That's one book out of the 10 before the end. Now this one surprised me a little bit. I don't know, I feel like it was really hyped and I knew it was gonna be fun and silly, but I don't think I was fully prepared for how fun and silly it was gonna be. World building, everything like that, not really there. It's not really there. Like, it's literally unserious. Don't expect much. You're going in there for fun and spice and a little bit of humor. It kind of disappointed me a little bit. I feel like the book, they're another set of books where I'm probably gonna read anyway, but I don't take much away from them. I don't even think I remember the story. Like, if the title wasn't so obvious, I wouldn't remember the story. I rated this one like stars. This book was fun, very insta-lovey. It was kind of disappointing. The cover got me. Pacing of the romance was not good. I feel like it's hard to remember how you feel about books, especially when like they're not your favorites and you kind of push them to the back, but at least I wrote a little note for myself. This is on my template, by the way, guys. Let me just plug you again. So then we actually kept the ball rolling and I completed another book out of my 10 before the end. I haven't stuck to my TBR in so long. The next one I read was Court of Silver Flames. I think something about creating a TBR myself instead of using the jar is probably the best way to go. But anyway, I still enjoyed the jar, so I will always film those videos. Court of Silver Flames. I listened to a lot of this on audio, and then I got my Kobo, which meant I could use the library book version. I did like a tandem read. It follows Nesta's point of view. 5th book in a series, so I can't tell you very much, but I will tell you that the way it was written was very choppy in my opinion. They kept bouncing between different scenes, and like I remember when I first started reading this, I took a big gap and I tried to come back, and I remember thinking, did I miss something? Like, I feel like if you don't read this back to back, you feel like lost, but it's just because they chop between scenes so fast. This was a 4-star read. There's a lot of spice, I can tell you that for sure. This one makes sense why everyone always talks about Agatha being like a spicy series, because it was spice after spice after spice. But even then, it was also a bunch of characters that didn't think they were worthy. I don't know what that was about, but at the same time, I get it. It was important for the whole plot and the whole character building. Like, yeah, it was a good one. And I'm happy to say that I've finished and wrapped up a series. That's the second series I wrapped up. I just wanted to wrap up a lot of series this year. So Agatha's done, so is the Kissing Quadrant, which was the previous one, is all wrapped up, and that just feels great. So I'm going to start another Sarah J Maas series, and I'll talk about that in my 26 before the end. I was in my fantasy bag in December, guys, so I also finished Reckless. This was a reread for me. When I looked at my journal, I actually read this book in January, so it's kind of like a nice little circle. I read this same book again. I felt the same way, it had the same rating. I don't want to give you too much because I do have a vlog that's supposed to be coming out. I don't know why that vlog's taking so long. I have been filming the reread for this since like October, and the the books are not that long. Like, it doesn't need to take that long to read it. But I think there's just been a lot happening, so I keep putting it off. And now I've got all this footage that I need to edit, and I'm like, I need an edit. I'm gonna get it out. Fingers crossed, January, or else I'm over myself at this point. But anyway, I can't tell you anything about this, but let me just tell you, the ending still got me the same way. If you've read it, then you know. I'm very excited for Fearless and Fearful. I've said that too many times. On the same route of fantasy, and again, another one that really hit home. I'm realizing I had a really good reading month. So far, I've had quite a few 4 stars. The next one was Divine Rivals. This was available at the library. This is why I have to say mwah to having my Kobo Plus again, because I don't know how I would have got to this book. I kept eyeing it in the stores and kept thinking, don't buy it. People have said it's not really worth reading. Correction, people have not said Divine Rivals is not worth reading. They said the second one to it is not really worth reading, but the first one was A1. Let me tell you that right now. Those letters, the back and forth, the emotion in that book, amazing. To be honest, I don't know why people say you shouldn't read the second book. The way the first one is left off, it definitely feels like you have to read the second one to know how the other one ends. Like I feel like you have to, but obviously once I read it, I'll let you guys know whether or not. I definitely think you have to read it, even if it's not good. The way the second one ends, you need to know. So Divine Rivals is a TikTok beloved book. With a lot of the TikTok books, which I'm even learning for myself, you need to not walk into them thinking they're gonna change your whole life because everyone says they're great. A lot of times everyone says they're great because it is a great time, but they're not always life-changing. And because you hear thousands and thousands of people say this book's great, you automatically assume it's going to be life-changing, or else why would everybody have the same review? That's not the case. Now, Divine Rivals, for me, I'm going to be another person that says this, an amazing read, 4 star. I enjoyed it all. But I feel like the reason why it was so good is because I picked it up later when all the commotion and all the hype around it had died down. Literally, I had just heard about the second book not being really worth it, and I was going to dismiss the whole series and not bother with it. So at this point, now I'm like at the base level again now. So when I read it, it slapped. So anyway, let me tell you what this one follows for the people that might be interested in reading it. So basically, there's 2 gods, they're having a war, and I forgot the girl's name already. Let's just say insert girl's name. She has a brother, and he decides he's gonna go off in the war to fight for one of the gods. He enrolls himself, and she is obviously devastated. It's her only brother. She decides she's gonna message him while he's in war. You know, the whole letters in war, you know, so beautiful. So while she's sending these letters, they're not going to her brother, they actually go to her work colleague, the guy that's her rival at work. He gets the letters, but he doesn't tell her that it's him. He does, by the way. This is what threw me. This is what spun me, because I was like, sorry, your work colleague's a weirdo. But he does actually tell her, I'm not your brother, so she knows she's not messaging her brother anymore. But he doesn't tell her, by the way, I'm the guy that you work with that you hate. So they continue to send messages to each other. And that's how that one goes. And I don't want to say anything else. It was a great story. Loved it down all the way. I can't wait to get to the second book, even though there's a chance it might not be good. We really are in the fantasy bag, because after that, I went into Mistlefoe. Now, Mistlefoe is a little short novella for That Time I Got Drunk and Saved the Demon. Like, it's just a little novella that goes in the middle of it. It was free on, not free. It was, I always say it's free. It's a problem I have. It was available with the Kobo Plus, and you know, I have the trial, so I decided to listen to it. I didn't bother rating this. I don't think I rated this one. I just thought, honestly, I don't know what to say for these. I feel like I'm going to keep reading them, but I don't know why. I know exactly why I'm going to read them. They're going to be like palette cleansers. They don't have much to them, but at the same time, I feel like people will enjoy them. If you generally want like a good story, then I don't think that those books are very good for those. But if you just want to read just to read, just to be like, for spice, let's be real. If you want to read for spice, if you want to read to where there's a little bit of story based in fantasy, maybe coziness too. If you want a cozy, fantasy-based, spicy, on a serious book, then yeah, that's what those books are for. Because other than that, I think the problem with those books was the time that I picked them up. I don't think the books itself, okay, no, the books are bad. The books are bad, but the bad books can be good at the right time. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Yeah, anyway, I picked them up at the wrong time, in my opinion. Then I went on to another banger. Wow, I'm forgetting how good December was. I actually forgot, like, looking at it again is reminding me. I read Real. This has been on the list for the longest. I'm surprised it wasn't even in my 10 before the end, because I think I just got sick of saying how many times I really want to read it, but I'm happy I got to it. I remember how I actually managed to get to Real. The audiobook was available on Kobo Plus, and now I'm going to film another video where I talk about recommendations on Kobo Plus, because there's actually quite a lot of books over there. So I started it. I also bought the book on Kobo for whatever strange reason, because it's actually available on Kindle Unlimited, and I pay for Kindle Unlimited. But I don't mind, because I got to annotate it, and I know it can, and it's going to stay there. So that's nice. Anyway. I just like to spend money. Real was another story. Again, a lot of emotional reads, a lot of romance with like real importance in there. I was surprised by how much Kennedy written there. In fact, I was listening or reading to it, and I was like, oh, I'm enjoying a certain section. I took out my little pen and was like, let me write a little bit about this. So I did a little journaling about real. My handwriting's horrendous. But if we go back to the little journaling in here and see what I said. So she talks about so many important topics in that book. I got a taste of how you even like create a film, like the funding and having to make it a real story, costume design, dance. And then I also managed to learn about lupus and the different types of lupus. And then I also got a story about Renaissance, things Black people went through back then, or the credit that we didn't get for everything that they did. You just learn a whole lot of stuff. This was a meatier romance book, but somehow she kept me entertained through the whole story. And like, she talks about so many different topics, and I never felt like, oh, this is confusing, this is irritating, this is like too much. Like, everything flew together perfectly and linked back in a way that made sense to me. This follows, I think I wrote their names, this follows Neva and Cannon. Neva is a Broadway actress. I'm probably gonna butcher this, but she's a Broadway actress. She gets spotted by the huge film director named Cannon on one of her performances, and he's adamant that she's the person that he needs to play the main character of his film, which follows a woman. I cannot remember the woman's name. I think it's Darcy, but I could be making that up. I hope not. But like, it follows her story and how, you know, all the accomplishments she made. It follows all her life during like the Harlem Renaissance, and you know how she was one of the people that we don't know about today because of like how Black people were treated. Basically hires Neva to be the person to play that out. There's a whole lot of controversy around it, him trying to get the funding for it. She's dealing with lupus and obviously how that affects her life. Him also had experienced a loss before. A lot of topics in this book. It ate. Let me just tell you that much. It ate. I can't wait for school. I'm so happy I finally read it. I'm going to buy it so I can add it to my Kennedy Ryan shrine that I'm trying to create right now. Okay, so guys, this is where we enter the Christmassy half of the year. Like, this is where I was reading Christmas books. I do have a video out already, so I don't want to be repetitive and say the same things again. So I will link to the video if you want to watch that one. But I read The Christmas Tree Farm. This is one of my books for the 10 before the end. I enjoyed it. I realized again how much I really love reverse grumpy sunshine, which just means the girl is the grump instead of the guy, and the guy is like basically sunshine. He's like a very happy, bubbly guy. Well, he wasn't even that happy and bubbly. He was just nice. That one basically follows a woman who decides she wants to move to a small town and start her own business. Then she realizes it's harder than it was going to be. There's a guy who has a big city job, but he's come to the small town to visit his family for Christmas, and then they meet, and that's how that story goes. I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it, but the one that shocked me was Just a Taste. I thought I was gonna love that one so much. Like, it had all the elements that I really enjoy. Like, I love when someone snowed in. I just know that there's probably gonna be like a forced proximity. The guy in this book was basically the Grinch, and the reason, when you find out why he hates Christmas, you'll be partly disappointed. Maybe you won't be as disappointed because I'm letting you know ahead of time, but yeah, it was immature as hell. That was what the whole build-up of that book was. Like, I don't know what else I was expecting, because when I think about it, I wouldn't want it to be anything else, because that would have probably made it too, you know, I don't want to say too much, but yeah, disappointing in that sense. I also feel like the whole lead up to it, the whole story wasn't entertaining. I'm telling you, there's something about a book blurred by Hannah Grace. Actually, I can't say that because there's another Christmas book where Hannah Grace is on the blurb, and I enjoyed that one. This one, I just think there wasn't enough happening. It felt really boring to me, so unfortunately that was a 3-star. Actually, even before that, I read a short book by Ali Hazelwood, and Cruel Winter with You. What shocks me is how I keep reading Ali Hazelwood books, but none from the shelf. I literally have Ali Hazelwood books on my shelf that I have not read, but I keep reading all her books on my Kindle. Why am I reading all of her other books and not the ones on my shelf? That was a short little book. It was like 72 pages. It packed way more of a punch than Just a Taste did, unfortunately. It packed more of a punch than like most of the Christmas books that I read, but even then it wasn't that great. It was too short. I think if she built that into like a proper story, it could have been good, but obviously it was a short thing. It did what I needed it to do. It followed two best friends, a guy and a girl. It's Christmas time. She pops to his house to get something, but then the snow falls heavy. She gets trapped there, and they kind of like reminisce, and there's a little bit of a backstory of their whole situation that makes the story make sense. It was a good read. I felt connected to them. However, I think the guy was a bit worrying. I think like the guy had a lot of red flags, let me say that much. Nice story, good story. I also started Only for the Holidays. This book was actually one that I DNF'd, and I think it's important to know that just because I DNF a book, it doesn't mean it was a bad book. I just don't think it was a book for me. I think the way they spoke in that book was a little bit too YA. It was a bit young. After I told you guys I DNF'd it, I did continue listening to it to give it like another chance, but it just felt like, right, I don't really need to read this book. It could have been a good story, but it felt like a young one. It felt like a book for younger me. I would have ate that up probably at some point, but it didn't feel like one that I needed to read currently, so I decided just to call it a day and completely DNF it. So I have nothing to say about that. There is no ratings on that book. I definitely think, depending on your age range, you might really enjoy that one. I think 16 to 18, maybe 15, I don't know. There was a couple of cussing in there, so it depends on what your parents allow you to read. How old is everyone on this channel actually, because like it gives me an idea of like when I'm recommending. Obviously I'm just gonna read books I want to read anyway, so they tend to be more adult, but I do love me a YA. The last and final book that I got to, and I'm so happy I can actually say I managed to read it, was Good Spirits. This one was one where I couldn't scroll the internet looking for a Christmas book without hearing everyone talk about it. So I actually added it to the list last minute, but I didn't get to film it in my Christmassy reading vlog because I was just taking too long to get that video out. So I was like, hey, you know what, I may just read it. If I do, I'll inform you guys. I keep tucking this behind my ears and I definitely don't want them behind my ears. It follows a guy, I forgot all their names again, but he's basically the ghost of Christmas past, but he's been sent to show Harriet her terrible ways so that she can change. You know the story, I don't know if you watched the movie. She's very much like, obviously I must be a horrible person, show me my ways. And while he's with her, he's like, wait, I don't think she's actually this bad person. Like, why am I here? I think something's wrong. I've been assigned incorrectly here. Hello, HR, help out. That's the story. But obviously there's so much more that happens in there. Like the magicalness, the Christmasness. To be honest, I don't even feel like it was that Christmassy. Other than it being like around Christmas time and obviously it being related to that movie, The Stooge guy, whatever. It wasn't that Christmassy, but it was a great read. I really enjoyed all the characters in the book. I enjoyed the storyline. It was well written, and that was my first BK Borison, is that her name, book? And did I just make that name up? I hope not. I will be going into some of her other reading books, her other books, and I will be adding that to the cart. That is all the books I read for December. Now I have to wrap it up there because my brain is like turning to liquid now. I'm tired, the light is blinding me. I hope you guys enjoyed the wrap up. Again, comment down below the things that you actually want to see, like if there's anything particular you want me to do in the wrap ups. Like, would you prefer if I split them up by like vibes of the book? This one's sad, this one was this one, or would you like me to split them up by genre, ratings, which ones were the 5 stars?
This is a reminder. Wash clothes.
Oh, thanks, Alexa. But yeah, let me know how you like these wrap-ups to be presented so that they're useful to you. But anyway, Alexa! Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this and hope you subscribe and stick around for the next few videos. Bye!